I'm gonna give you a little bit of history on me, personally, myself. I have been dancing since from the 60s. So yes, I am an old schooler. I've been around since hip hop started. Before hip hop started, I lived this culture. I have been dancing since a young age. I never formally took a dance class. For me, everything comes from here. So I come from that era of dancing. When you see me dance now, everything is purely organic. It's just me just feeling the music. And honestly, that's what New Style Hustle is about, is just that freedom of just feeling the music. In the early 70s and 80s, I was a break dancer. I was into hip hop. I got into house in the 90s. From where I came from, we had block parties. We just danced. We weren't dancers, but when we heard music, we danced. When I used to go to functions like Funk Box, Coney Island, there wasn't no old school hustle dance. I haven't seen it. My first time experiencing that was at Fort Greene Park, Soul Summit party. I danced house. I seen this couple that was on the side and they was hustling. So I went over there and I watched for a while. When I got involved with it, I went to the social dance sport, the original dance sport, which was by Columbus Circle. And I seen all these couples, old schoolers, hustling, disco music. So it was a whole new ball game for me because I'm a house dancer. I was in awe. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. And I seen all these amazing things that they was doing. Shout out to the old school hustlers, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Y'all wouldn't be where y'all at. I would leave there, go home, I would practice, I would go back next week, sat down and watch. When I started learning, I got better and better. I didn't have no partner. But I would go back to Funk Box and just grab girls' hands and just say, can I dance with you? I want to practice something. The kids in Funk Box and every other house club weren't doing it yet. This is 2009 when I was learning. Now, you got to understand something. Disco music was different than the house music that I'm used to dancing to. Even the count from disco beats is different than house beats. So when I took it to Funk Box, I was on another whole beat because the tempo was different. So I was just feeling the music because I'm just a natural dancer. So that went on for a couple of months. I met my first partner, which was Surveyor. She wasn't really my partner, but we danced a lot. People started recognizing us. Months went on. I met Nicole at Soul Summit, and she wanted me to teach her. Back then, she was very quiet and very shy, but when she danced, it was just fire. She would start whacking and stuff like that. And when we danced to house music. But every now and then, we would go to dance sport and dance, and people would look at us funny because we weren't dancing like they were dancing. After that, me and Nicole, we did a couple of shows around New York. People was excited seeing it. People in the street dance community. Because they was like, wow, that's awesome, that looked good. And they was calling it different things, like, what are you dancing? Is that Latin hustle? Is that? I'm like, nah, it's just hustle. And they're like, yeah, but you're going faster than the regular people that was doing hustle. Your timing is different. Again, I'm a house dancer. I didn't think about the way the people was doing it at dance sport, because even though I love what they was doing, my moves wasn't technical. It was organic because of my upbringing and just learning to dance on my own. I never took a class before. Me and Nicole, we started getting recognized throughout the city. We started doing different shows at different places. Places that we did this, it was, again, all street community dancers, not old school dancers. They never came to street dance communities, places and functions and events. I stayed in the community. So, a lot of kids already knew me before I started doing this. So we got recognized and we kept doing it. We kept doing it, get more known and known. Nicole is a hairdresser, so she started traveling a lot. So I met Robin at Funk Box. She came to me and asked me, I love the way you and Nicole dance. Can you teach me? So yes, I met Robin and I started teaching her. She had a background already in dance, modern dance, jazz, even tap dance. So, people saw that combination between me and her. It was different because, me as a brother dancing with this white girl, it's like, wow, that looked totally different. With her background in dance and my street vibe, it was a connection that people didn't really know about. People would stop and watch us and they would be like, yo, that look beautiful, do you teach? That went on for a while till one day, Robin approached me. She was like, yeah, Jeff, you need to teach this. And I kept telling her, no, I'm not a teacher. This is in 2010. She said, yeah, but people love what you're doing. You're bringing a different element to it. You're putting you into this dance. She got kind of upset. She said, look, I'm going to get you some cards made. I'm going to build you a website and just see where it goes at. So she did that a couple of months. And, you know, with me and Robin, we got known because we danced in so many venues throughout New York. People kept noticing us and noticing us. That's how that part grew. Our first workshop was in Central Park. I believe it was late 2010. All the kids from the street dance community came out and supported. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, people come out and I guess they really love this. We did 3 workshops in Central Park. But our first official class was at a church. Every kid that's danced in the street community have came to our classes because for them it was something different. So we started teaching at the church in Manhattan on 6th Avenue and 14th Street. That was our home. So it got to a point where the classes started getting big. With the kids in the street community, hustlers still were involved yet, and this is going on to 2012. So, you know, back then, again, we kept calling it hustle till it got to a point. Me and Robin walked down, I think it was 2nd Avenue, and we was like, maybe we should change the name. And we started thinking, and I said to her, let's call it New Style Hustle. And Robin asked me why. So I told her, yes, because, you know, New Style Hustle, which means new style hustle. New generation of kids was doing it. And that's the street dance community. Style, because they were already dancers. So they're adding their own styles, their own elements into it. Hustle, because a lot of those steps was based off of hustle, that foundation. We actually started teaching that all around the city. BDC, we taught at Brooklyn Zoo. We got invited to California to teach. And anybody that knows Jeff Selby, he was scared of planes. My first time overseas, that was more frightening in overseas. And the only reason why we started traveling overseas because back in the church, a lot of those students were European students, Asian students back then. They would go back to their countries. Oh, I got to try this new style hustle. It's so good, blah, blah, blah. So back then, when they did do that, it wasn't out there in Europe yet. It was still all new style hustle. Back then when Zabu went back to Japan, T-Boy and Sabina went back to Czech Republic and those places out there. It was still all new style hustle. It grew to a point where I got invited to SDK for the first time. I believe that was 2013, my first time at SDK. We were shocked because now we have all these kids at SDK coming from different countries. Our first classes in SDK, 150, 200 kids. I wasn't used to that. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? That was exciting for us. So, you know, I think we got invited out there 2 more times. And from then, I started traveling to different countries. So, yeah, those were exciting times. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew, you know. I'm a kid from Brooklyn, so I didn't see none of that coming. But I was happy because I was giving something that was just giving it freely, just expressing yourself through dance.